Hi guys and welcome back. Today we're just gonna sew a traditional blazer. So how you see, that's a blazer, and I just designed a really traditional blazer which is body form but also a little bit longer, so it's trendy as well. And I'm using some shoulder pads, which is also really trendy right now. And then it has a normal sleeve, and we also gonna need some buttons for the arm slit right here, so take that in mind that we need buttons in the front and also for the side, but you do have everything on your sewing guide. Sewing pattern you're always gonna find down below in the description box in my shop. There's the sewing pattern. You have the size extra small to extra large. I'm sewing here size small always, and you can just make it your own. And this sewing pattern is gonna have no pocket on the front right here, but it has a pocket right on the chest here. We have a dart right here, but I'm gonna turn that into the armhole, into the side seam, because I don't want a dart right here. We have a really beautiful color which is a little bit curved. We have a really nice opening, and then we have a nice back. Really beautiful fabric which has like this ombre effect right here. I hope you can tell. And that's why I'm gonna turn the dart away. So I have a really nice pattern right here. It has like little fish stuff on it, and also like a tardy vibes. I'm really liking that. We're gonna need some fleece lining, like quite much. We need that for the front, the whole collar parts, and then also for the top sleeve right here, for the shoulder part up here, and then for the back we need that as well. If you have really strong fabric, then it's totally fine, and you can just avoid that. Maybe strong cotton or so, you're not gonna have to use that, but I'm gonna use it right here. It's a thin one, but it makes the fabric look really stiff and nice and professional, so we need that. And also some lining fabric right here, which is just black. Yeah, I would say we're just gonna start. So here we see everything I made, and we quite need a lot of stuff, so I'm just gonna guide you through it so you can check if you have everything. And I'm also gonna add what you need with some fleece lining, because for example here you see we have some fleece lining on, so it's stiff and it feels better from the fabric, and it will just look a little bit more high quality. So we do need some shoulder pads, which you can see right here. Then you need 6 buttons just like them. You can use also, obviously you're gonna need some buttons for the front. Need the part for the pockets. Right here I have marked it. Make sure to mark everything. You have everything on your sewing pattern. So we obviously need 2 fronts, and I had to put fleece lining all over it. You need 2 side pieces, just like that, and they also have some fleece lining in, and you can see like you can have some elastic fleece lining. I'm gonna link the fleece lining down below what I use. It's a little bit more expensive, but you see it's elastic and then more comfortable. And then also the back part, and you see I also marked the back part. And for the color we do need 2 web colors right here. Then we also gonna need a top color. Oh, I put some fleece lining on that as well, and then the top color right here and the bottom color as well. They're kind of similar, but one is shorter. We need the facing part right here, so we need also some facing for the top. We need that twice, and I have some fleece lining as well on that. Sleeves, you have the top and the bottom part. And for the lining fabric, I have obviously the sleeve twice, the bottom and the front, and we're gonna need also twice with the dart, and you also can mark it right here. We have that twice, and you see right here I have the dart, that's for the back, and I'm just gonna put the lines onto the lines right here and put always the pin in, and then you can just sew them all the way where the line is, so you're good to go. And I'm gonna do that with all the darts, like the darts from the back, from the front, from the lining fabric, all of that. And then we just good to go and safe. And I'm doing it from the inside, obviously, the darts, and I'm also gonna iron on top of that afterwards, so it's all nice and flat. That I just made it, and I really like how it looks, but you see it's not really flat or so that looks nice and clean. I have to iron it on top, and what I'm also gonna do, because we have a curve right here, I just take a scissor and cut right into here so it lays a little bit flat and more pretty. And I'm just gonna take the iron and iron right on top of that, and going to put the seam down this way, just like that. And when it comes to the bottom right here, you also want to make sure to really spread that. So maybe you want to pull it a little bit upwards, and then the dart goes out really nice and straight. So it's now made. You can see that right here. That's a really beautiful dart, and I ironed them downwards, and we can now go on with the pocket, I would say, right here. So we're done. So just go ahead and take the one piece where you want the pocket to be. I have the left body side, so when you wear it, it's on the left side, and also your pocket piece. We have the two parts. That's the outside, the right side, and I have the left side, and here's the right side. So I'm putting right sides together, just the marks onto the marks right here. You have it on your sewing pattern, obviously, and then putting a pin in. And what I'm gonna do is now just gonna sew all the way around, and then I have to cut that. So now I'm just gonna cut where the corners are, right here and right there. Make sure that it's straight and looks even. Gonna fold that all the way inside. And if you have like tension right here onto corners, you might gonna have to cut a little bit more into that, so it's nice and flat. You see I just ironed it. That's from the inside. From the outside it just looks like that, so nice and clean. And then something you have to do is just folding this line up to this right here so it's closed. And then you can see, let me put some needles in. So you're folding that upwards, and you have this little notch as well. So what you have to do is just sew right here really close to that, and then it's not gonna get open again. And on the other side as well. And then you turn it, and you see you have like this flap right here, and that's where the pocket is going to be. So I am just gonna quickly sew right here and right there is how it's just gonna look, and then I'm gonna turn that. So I just gonna attach this part right up here where the flat is going to be. You see that? Just like that. I'm putting pins all the way around. So the pocket bag together up here, here and over here, that's closed already. So that's right here, and you see it's gonna fold up like that. So to stop moving by that, you have this folding line right here. I'm just gonna sew right close to that, so it's not gonna happen anymore, but we also have not a seam to seam. So that's done right now, and I'm really liking how it looks. Right here we have a pocket, and it's not folding upwards or anything, and then from the back it just looks like that. We have to put the shoulder seams and the back attaching to the front. So I'm gonna take the side parts just right here and putting them right sides together, and the lowest part has to go onto right here. So you see, just putting some pins in and all the way upwards. And then if you would imagine this is going to be sewed, you can fold that upwards and putting this part also right sides together. That's the back part. And then also just pinning it and sewing it. See that I sewed them all. I haven't attached the back piece just yet because I'm going to show you the seam and we need to have that nice and flat. So I'm just going to spread the seam right here and iron on top. Look, and I'm going to do it with all the seams so they all look nice, flat and beautiful. So it's now made all the way. You see all the seams are spread, they're all together. And what I'm going to do now, I'm putting them right sides together and have to close the shoulder seams right here. For the lapel color, that's the facing which we have out of the main fabric, and we're just going to put them also onto the shoulder seams right here, and we're gonna sew right here, right there, and also the shoulder seams and spreading it, and then we can keep going with putting the color in. When you put them on top of each other, you see that's the smaller piece, so that's the bottom color, and you have your web color right here, so you can place them up like that. And here I marked it, and these little marks are the shoulder seams, and these are the corners which have to go onto that. So the larger side goes right on here. So just on here, maybe you start with the mid right here, your little mark, and also here. So that's where they have to get attached, and then you're just gonna sew right this area. You can cut into that as well and then spread the seam as well. And then you see it looks just like that. And what I'm gonna do, I'm spreading the seam right here and iron on top of that, so it's all nice and flat. And the same thing I'm just gonna do with the other side as well, so we are prepared for the color. Paired colors right here, that's now the smaller color, and you see I spread it and I cut into the seams as well, and I did prepare both of them how you just saw. And what I'm gonna do now, because I'm just following the parts, I'm turning the color just like that, so it's a little bit easier. Put the back mid right on here and taking a pin. Have a little clip right here on your web color. That's right there, and that's where the shoulder seams belong to be. And then you can just go ahead and pin all the way like that and go all the way through here, so all the way where the color attaches to the blazer. We also attach the facings, how you see right here, and it's the same thing, but we are going to use the bigger color right here. The back I marked also right here, so just go ahead and place it right on top of each other. It's the same thing like we did on the collar onto the blazer. We're doing the same right here, so just pinning it all the way around. That you need that corner right here, and you can put them right sides together, so have the facing just like that, and we have the little notch open which we're just gonna need right now. So take some pins and just pin all the way around, and just the two top colors where we have attached, and just the two top colors, not the bottom colors like the flat over here. We don't need that just right now. We're going to do it into the next step because it's just easier if to do this right now, and then you can fold that upwards and do the other way around. It just looks a little bit cleaner. Just like that, and you see it's going to go this way already, and we want that. So again, how I just said in the beginning, I'm going to start right here, so up here the collar all the way to the other side and down here, and after I'm going to do the flaps. Now we can have the part right there for the flap. It's just right there, and I'm gonna put some pins, some needles in to secure that part, and you can now see this part you can really easily push upwards and then putting a pin in. It's just easier to sew like that and makes it straight and more pretty. So I'm just gonna sew the curve right here up, and then this corner, the same onto the other side, and then we can turn that inside out. So how you see, I just sewed it, and then I also marked the curve right here so they're nice and even. And something I'm gonna do is just making this seam alone shorter by cutting. So you're just gonna put your finger into the corners and pull the corners out. You can also use some sharp stuff for that, and then it just looks really nice and clean. We have to iron it obviously. And right here, because that looks upwards, you have to put the web collar on top of the web collar. Here we have the web collar in here, and we are gonna put them on top of each other and just gonna sew the seam alones right here, so just until the shoulder seams. Not completely done, but if you want, you can just go ahead and try the blazer on. I'm here making the blazer for my sister. She is graduating and she wants to wear a blazer. These are the seams where you can make them a little bit smaller or bigger, whatever you want to. So here we have the sleeves, and I did iron it here 5 cm upwards and then 5 cm just like that. We have some fleece lining on here, how you can see, and then the smaller part, it's also 5 cm upwards. For corner right here, so something we're gonna do is we are gonna have this line onto this line, but I'm gonna turn that. You see where I ironed it, and then we're placing this line over here, you see, and that's over here. We need 90 degrees, so you can just push that over to the other side, make a little line right here. So we have to sew all the way from here down to this point. That's how it looks. We can now cut that off. And you have to turn that inside out. So we have here a really nice corner, just like that. That's something we want. And on the other side, it's also a sharp corner. So from the other side, we are not gonna do this special corner. We are gonna turn that to the right side, and then you see where you ironed, and we really have to fold it against it. This little corner we have to sew. I just sewed it, and you can now cut right into this part. So right above where you sewed, just a little, like a half a centimeter, so you can really bend it a little bit easier, and then we turn that just like that. You can again iron on top of this, but you see we have this little corner right there and a nice corner up here. And if you want to have some buttonholes, you just have to do it right now, and you have to do it onto the bigger sleeve that's made right here. And now we're just gonna put them right sides together. This goes on that, and we're starting right here. So we obviously have the buttons here, so we're gonna fold that just a little bit and putting a pin in. It might be a little bit difficult to sew, and you just have to be a little bit careful. And then the corner right here, we're gonna sew that as well. Then all the way up here. So I'm just gonna sew right here, and then for the other side you see it right here, and I'm just gonna fold that over. This time we can fold that over, that's not the big deal. Like that, and we get again putting pins in and pinning all the way upwards, and we can sew both sides of the sleeves, and you don't have to spread the seam alone or whatever. You just go to go, and you can go ahead and do this other sleeve exactly the same. So the sleeve is done now, both sides are sewed. You can flap that over now, turn that inside out as well. Then I'm just gonna sew them just like that, and then the sleeve is done, and we have really nice folding part right here. And then for the sleeve top, we can put the sleeves in right now. is right here I stepped with a really large stitch, and I did a knot right here, and here you can just pull it a little bit onto the bottom of that, because we need that to be a little bit wrinkly, that it's gonna fit into the armhole. That I'm always laying it out like that so I can attach, and we have here a higher point and there a lower point, and as well with the sleeves right there, and then we just have to attach these 2 points on top of each other so they're gonna fit. And then before I do the rest of it, I'm gonna turn that. Then we have to put the top part just up here where it belongs to be, and then we just even the part out. Go ahead and sew that armhole really quickly. For the other side, the same process. Well, the higher point and here the lower point. So here we have the blazer. It fits really well. The sleeves are attached right now and they're almost done. We just have to put the lining in. We have a collar right here, and then with the shoulder pads we have to start working with, and you see that this part goes further, like smaller and longer first, so that's the front. So what we have to do, we have to fold that, and then about 1 centimeter we have to put the pin in, because that's the shoulder seam, and that part goes to the back and that part goes to the front, because the back side is always a little bit longer and higher than the front. Shorter area has to go in the front, and that's this shoulder part right here. So we are going to need to have a little pin right here, and I'm just pinning it right where the seam alone is going to be, and I'm going to hand stitch that in. Then we have also some seam alones right there, so I'm also going to hand sew that right to the seam alone. Now we can start with the lining fabric right here. So we have the back part right here, we have the side pieces on the side, and then we have the fronts on the fronts. The same thing that we did with the main part of the fabric, we're doing the same with the lining. We have also some darts here which we had to sew first, and the sleeves are placed in exactly the same like I did with the main fabric, so there's no really a big deal or a big difference. The only thing, and you have it on your sewing pattern, is with the back, and when you fold that into the back mid, you see that I have here a little mark, and here as well. So down here we have about 1 centimeter and 1 centimeter where I went inside, and then all the way down, and then on the top right here I have about 2.5 centimeter. You have a mark right there, so you just do a little square, because whenever you push that up now to the left side, I do have to iron it, so that's gonna go away when I iron it. And so you see we have like a space that moves open and close when we move our bag. After you sewed the lining fabric together and also sewed the shoulder pads together, you can just go ahead and then we can attach these 2 pieces. Make sure to iron them separated. So how you see, I also ironed the collar right here, and what we're gonna do now, we just flap that over, and you see this area, and then you have your lining fabric right here. You're gonna put them right sides together, and I'm starting with the center bag. This part has to go right where the facing is going to be, putting some pin in, and I'm just gonna go and pin all this part here downwards, and on one side of the seam I'm just gonna leave the center open so I can turn everything inside out later on. And so that I'm not gonna go over it, I'm gonna put 2 pins in right here, so now I have to leave that part open. And then for the other side, I'm just gonna go all the way like normally, all the way around. So I'm just gonna attach it to each other, and then I can move on with the sleeve and also with the bottom part. But for now I'm just gonna attach it all the way, but leaving a little space open. So they are attached, and when I fold that now inwards, you're gonna see how it looks, and we can put the sleeves also in the sleeves. That's open, but we need the turning part for later on. First I'm gonna check if we have the seams right where the seams are going to be, so it's not twisted or anything, and it is in the right spot. So I'm gonna check right here. So I'm gonna go into the lining fabric right here, and so between these two layers basically, I'm gonna grab the one seam just like that, and then the other seam same way. So I'm also gonna fold that. So I'm having two layers and I know how to put them together. So I go all the way out, and then you see how to put them together. You can go all the way around. The same thing I'm gonna do onto the other side, so they are equal, and here we have our little slit, but I'm just gonna go right next to each other. So you see everything is looking really nice and clean. We have a nice edge right there for the hem, and then the sleeves look really nice with the buttons and also with the lining fabric. I really like how it looks. The only thing we have to do is the hem. So we do have this opening which we're gonna need right now. So you just grab through this right here, and then you're just grabbing, like we did with the sleeve, this seam with the matching seam, and then you're just pulling everything through this hole. You can make a little pin right in here. So I just pulled everything through it, and something we have to do now is just, you can go ahead and match up these seams. You have this corner, and that corner goes up here. So when you have to put a little knot into here so you can bend it really well, and then you're just gonna turn that 90 degrees up to this seam and make a pin in. It's gonna fit, and then you have to put the lining fabric on. So another seam, and that's gonna be a little bit looking confused because we have this little triangle right here. This maybe looks a little bit confusing, but that's just how it works, like this. So first of all, I'm gonna sew right this little part so I can remove this little needle, and then I'm gonna sew from all the way. So you can now go grab through this hole and pull everything back out. Corners, obviously you have to pull out again, and you see you have a really nice corner right there for the hem, and the lining fabric just lays on top of that. I would say just go ahead and iron on it. Yeah, so this is basically done. The only thing we got to do is now we have to hand sew this little opening closed. I always like to try the piece on and then check where I want the buttons to be, but you have 2 marks for 2 buttons because I'm going to use 2 buttons, and also make button holes first, and then you're gonna sew the button on. That's just a little bit easier because then you have the hole and you can place it on top of each other. Okay guys, that's it for today. I really hope you liked today's video and also the project. I'm really loving the project, and my sister gonna have a really good graduation outfit. I'm loving the fit. I did so many samples of fitting, so it's really nice to her, which I really like. And also the sewing parts I'm a big fan of. I love the sleeve with also the fleece lining and the lining fabric in the inside. So if you like, you can also use some jersey fabric and just do it the same way like I did. And it's also elastic. I'm going to put the fleece lining down below in the description box. I have onto the fabric. I love how the fit is, how the shape is, and also this little pocket. We did add a little napkin, and then the button we picked out after I made it the blazer, so it's matching all the way. I'm really a big fan of these darts because they're making a really nice open bag. So that's it, and if you're gonna make one, maybe you want to tag me on Instagram. I'm gonna put my link down below right here. I'm basically doing every day something about fashion or something that has to do with fashion, so if you want to check that out, just go ahead and do this, and I'm gonna see you into the next video. Bye!